welcome to every movie I've ever seen. Today, the movie that I'm going to be talking about is Iron Man 3. Now, not only is this obviously the third Iron Man movie, I believe it is the seventh of the MCU movies. The first of the so-called Phase 2, right after Avengers. It came out in 2013, directed by Shane Black from Predator fame. Yeah. This might not be the most popular opinion, but I do really like Iron Man 3. It's amongst my favorite of the MCU movies. I didn't like it as much in the early years. You know, didn't like it too much when I first watched it, or as time went on. But over time, I came to appreciate it more and more, and I think there was a direct correlation between me disliking the MCU more and more and me liking Iron Man 3 more and more. Because in my mind, Iron Man 3 is kind of like a standalone movie, and okay, maybe standalone is not the best. Maybe it's not the best description of it, but it breaks the mold kind of the typical MCU movie, because it's not your typical MCU movie. And if you compare the MCU to a TV show, which often has, you know, the seasons and the Endgame being like a season finale, whatnot, phases, seasons. If you compare the MCU to a TV show, when you have a TV show that's gone on for a long time, like X-Files, for example, every once in a while, they'll have an X-Files episode that just completely didn't fit with the other normal standard Monster of the Week conspiracy episodes. And sometimes when those weird one-off episodes that don't fit with the rest of the show, when they're executed properly, they work really well. A prime example of that would be the X-Files episode Jose Chung's From Outer Space. So that's, you know, whenever you have a TV show that goes on for long like that, X-Files, Supernatural had a couple from what I've seen. You know, I'm sure other shows like Buffy, for example, has had those standoff, one-off, doesn't really fit in with the rest of the show episodes. Even Lost kind of had an episode like that in season 3, Expose, when they primarily dealt with Nikki and Paulo. That's at least that's what the creators of the show intended for that episode to be. It didn't really work once they made the Nikki and Paulo characters. Once they were main characters, you're not looking at them from the point of view from side characters, which is what they want to do. But anyway, so Iron Man 3 is kind of this on its own, unique, different from the mold movie. And I appreciate that a little bit more and more as time goes on, because of how, you know, repetitive and cookie cutter the MCU movies have gotten. And, you know, something that kind of bothered me early on with Iron Man 3 is how it didn't really have any significance to the MCU in general. But now I realize that it's not Iron Man 3's fault that things don't matter, because that's just you know, symbolic of the entire MCU. The MCU has this loose continuity where things happen in one movie, but it's not really significant. You know, a character will be paralyzed in one movie, and it's not really brought up. You know, maybe a passing mention to this guy not being able to walk. You know, a character could have their entire past leaked out into the internet and all the evil, bad things they've done, and it's never brought up again at all. You know, a character could, you know, lose his eye and, you know, all this stuff, and then next movie, he's got a new eye and a new weapon, you know. So it's just, you know, if you like that movie where a character loses the eye and everything, it's kind of even more disappointing when the very next movie erases everything that movie did. So there's just this loose continuity where things don't matter. And I don't know, Iron Man 3, I like Iron Man 3. You know, honest, I like all the suits. He's got the big army of suits. I do like the look of the Iron Patriot. I like the color scheme. It's a little bit more inspired than just black, and well, you know, black and gray, which is War Machine. You don't get to see Iron Patriot in action much, which is a little disappointing. You know, I thought the plot was interesting. It's just, I don't know, it's different, and different is good. And I don't like the MCU all that much, so anything that kind of doesn't fit with the MCU is good enough to like, in my opinion. I know I didn't really talk about why I liked Iron Man 3 too much, more why I didn't like MCU. And I guess those are the reasons I like Iron Man 3 are the reasons why I don't like the MCU, because Iron Man 3 doesn't really matter, so it's okay that it doesn't matter. I can like it because it doesn't matter. Because none of them matter anyway, so the one that matters the least, you know, I don't know. And yeah, that's all I got to say about Iron Man 3.